Right, there's a lot of you here, isn't there? So I better start by introducing myself. I'm Farmer Tom, and yes, I'm a farmer, but I'm a different kind of farmer. So I grow people. That's the main product of our farm. We grow people, and I'll give you a bit of a backstory to that. Many years ago, I got a bit annoyed by different things happening in our society. One of those things which triggered it to start with is food waste. I had a short stint where I worked at Tesco's. I only lasted 8 months. I wasn't very good at that job. But I was disgusted by the amount of food waste Tesco's were throwing away, and then realised that all the supermarkets were throwing away a lot of food waste. So I decided I wanted to try and do something about that. So our business model is we collect food waste from restaurants and venues. We take it back to the farm, and we turn that food waste into compost, and we do that in 6 weeks. That compost goes back out into the field, and then we separate the field into plots, and we rent the entire plot back to the same venue or chef, and we grow all their fruit and veg for them and deliver it back to them. That's how we started. The idea was to start that way, build up an income so we could be self-sufficient and pay our bills, because that's what we all need to do eventually, and then look at turning the farm into a place where we can educate people on where their food comes from, how it's grown, and how we can do that without damaging the environment that we're growing that food in. So fast forward a couple of years into the project, and I met a friend of mine called Dave. Dave used to come down to the farm quite regularly, and one day he came down and taking the mick out of my tea making and things, and I got chatting to Dave. And I said to Dave, how come you've been down here every day this week? And he said, oh, well, I'm having a bit of a wobble. So Dave was an ex-military policeman, and he's seen some pretty horrific things in his past career, and he had PTSD. And his wobble was him not being able to deal with going to work or facing clients sometimes. So he'd come and hide on the farm with me. So we got chatting, and he had a couple of friends who were stuck at home, again, ex-military lads, and they couldn't get out of their house, and they had drink and drug problems and things. And I said, well, should we see if we can get them out of their homes to the farm? I said, you can deal with that, and when they get here, I'll talk to them about how we grow food and things. So we did that. And cut a long story short, we got them back on their feet and got them back to work eventually. So we thought we were onto something there, and maybe we could help a few more ex-military people. And PTSD gets kind of tossed around, and it used to be quite associated with ex-military people. So when I looked into the causes of PTSD and the people who suffer from PTSD, I realised that there's a lot of ambulance staff, paramedics, and that triggered me because I spent most of my life trying to break myself in one way or another through extreme sports and motorbikes and things. And I thought, well, if I'm on the farm and my leg's hanging off, I don't want St. John's ambulance turning up. I want a really good paramedic. I don't want to be then told that they've been off long-term sick with PTSD and they're not there to help me, because we all need them eventually. So I said to Dave, let's help everyone. Let's open the doors to everyone. Anyone suffering mental or physical illness or disability in any way, and we'll see if we can help them all on the farm. So we decided we were going to do that. And me and Dave came up with the idea we were going to call it the Garden Army. It was going to be about building an army of people to grow food and help each other through nature and understanding the process of all of that as well and coming together as a community. So we decided we were going to go and see the accountant, set the company up as a charity right from the beginning. And then Dave gave me a call and said, I can't make the meeting, I've just crashed the truck. I said, oh, Dave, you silly plonker. I said, are you all right? He said, yeah, no, I'm fine. I passed out for a bit and I was a bit paralysed, but I'm fine now. I was like, Dave, you were paralysed? He's like, yeah, I couldn't feel anything from my neck down, but it's gone now and I'm fine. I was like, Dave, it doesn't sound very good, mate. He said, no, I've got to go and have some scans to get checked out. So I didn't hear from Dave for a couple of weeks, and then he popped down the farm and was like, should we go and see the accountant? He's like, well, I can't really do that. And I was like, why is that, Dave? He's like, well, it turns out I've got a massive brain tumour. He'd been given a year to live. So a bit of a shock. I was like, okay, right. So what are we going to do then? He's like, well, we'll carry on and see how it goes. And he was determined to fight it. Unfortunately, Dave didn't fight it and eventually lost his battle with this brain tumour. But there was a time on the farm where I'd taken on an investor at this point, and I was walking around the farm, and turns out the investors were absolute crooks, and they stole my first farm and the business and all my employees and all my tools, and I had to start again. And I was wandering around the farm with Dave, and he was on my arm because he was blind by this point, and we were chatting around, and I was whinging about how bad my situation was, and then realised I'm chatting to a man who probably had about 3 months to live at that point. So I apologised to Dave. He called me a few choice words. But he made me promise something. He said, made me promise to never give up and never give in, which is his old army motto he had. So I promised him. And a couple of days after his funeral, we started the Garden Army. And we run a care farm just outside Ardingly in West Sussex. I had a bit of an idea how I wanted to start it. I wanted to engage people with food and growing and nature because it helped me many years ago when I went off chasing money and found out that that's quite stressful. So I went back to growing food, which I quite enjoyed. So I thought, if I enjoy that, maybe other people will. And I did promise Dave that I would carry on with it. So that's what we did. That was 3.5 years ago. We've now helped over 300 people from all walks of life, from ex-military to kids from schools to people who have suffered bereavement, and they've all come to the farm and they've all got stuck in with work. When people arrive to the farm, we don't sit and talk about their feelings. That came from an ex-military thing. No ex-military man wants to talk about their feelings. They're tough people. So we thought, well, we'll copy that a little bit. So when people arrive, they're given tools, we get stuck in. We have 3 rules on the farm. The first rule is you can do as much or as little as you want to do. The second rule is there's no talks of politics or religion. Always ends up in an argument. The third rule is, which I'm going to watch my language, don't be silly. You can get where that's going. And that seems to kind of drop their guard a bit. So what happens is people arrive and they're normally quite nervous and they say, give me the same speech every time. Like, oh, I'm not very good at gardening. I don't know what to do. I don't care. I want people to mess up on the farm. I want them to get it wrong. I want them to plant things in the wrong place. I want things to die because that's what builds resilience. And nature will sometimes, most of the time, sort it out for you. So people come along, they get stuck in, they make mistakes, we laugh about it, we take the mick out of each other. Other people have made the same mistakes before, start chatting, they come together as a group, and then we find out how to grow food, and then we enjoy it, and this grows and grows and grows. And we've been doing this for 3 years now, 3.5 years. The farm has massively expanded, so we're now up to 10 acres, and we're helping lots of people, and we do corporate away days and all sorts. Unlike most charities, we are self-funded. We raise our own money through renting plots of land to chefs. We work with some huge clients who really support us and want to do the right thing as well. And we're helping more and more people. From school kids who are deemed to be underachieving at school, we provide an alternative provision. So these kids who are at school who are arguing with teachers and using some quite colourful language, they come to the farm. They are the most polite, amazing kids you will ever meet at the farm. In a school environment, maybe slightly different. So we encourage them to get stuck in, and these kids work so hard and they are so enthusiastic about getting involved because they are passionate about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And then they start to learn that actually their work is helping other people as well. We have animals on the farm. Animals don't judge anyone. We have a couple of pigs. We have Penny and Charlie, who are very affectionate, but also very strong. So people go in and see the pigs and give them a tummy rub and then get thrown out the pen. We've just finished lambing, so that's been amazing. And some of our volunteers are able to get hands-on with lambing and hands-in with lambing. So that was quite exciting. We've got chickens. They're all rescue chickens. We are a retirement home for knackered chickens. When they first arrive, they are nicknamed zombie chickens because they've got no feathers and they're all ruined, and because they've been in intensive farms. They come to our farm. They're all now looking beautiful and laying lots of eggs for us, and they're very calming as well. So people go and sit in with the chickens a lot of the time, and they roost up on their shoulders and all sorts, and it's a very calming influence. The farm has now developed to a point where we want to expand and help more people, and we have many, many ideas of where we want to go with the future of this. We are looking for a bigger farm to help more people. So those kids who come from the school, instead of just being an alternative provision, we want them to walk away with a qualification. So they want to come and learn how to do fencing or look after animals or grow food. They can then leave with a qualification to go into that career. We want to help more people from across the broad spectrum of society. One of the things we've pioneered a couple of years ago now is one plot of land which we grow fruit and veg on, which we supply directly to food banks. And I've been looking at food banks and working with food banks for the last couple of years, and what really struck me that all of the food at food banks was packeted stuff and tinned stuff because that stays on the shelves, and a lot of food banks don't have big fridges and things to store things in. But if you put rubbish in, you're going to feel rubbish yourself. So I wanted to make sure that they had access to fresh fruit and veg. I'm fed up with the Abel and Coles and all the other food boxes that are out there, which are really quite expensive. I think that veg and decent, wholesome food should be accessible to everyone. So we've done that, and we've got sponsorship to sponsor that plot so we can afford to do it. and we're going to expand that across more food banks as well. Now, there are limitations to what we can do, supposedly, but we are working towards getting people more engaged with nature and not overcomplicating it. Nature can do most of the work for us, and if you engage yourself with nature and you immerse yourself in nature, it will fix you. We are from nature, and what I encourage a lot of people is to literally get their hands dirty. If you get soil on your hands and it gets under your fingernails and things, it encourages your body to release serotonin and dopamine. These are the happy drugs. We now have about 47 volunteers who have been prescribed to us from local doctors. So if you go to local doctors in East and West Sussex now, and you're suffering stress, anxiety, depression, PTSD, instead of being given happy pills, which kind of just fixes the problem a little bit, it doesn't address what started it, instead of that, you get prescribed to come to our farm. So it means we're not just putting a plaster on the problem, we're trying to address the problem. They're getting back into a community, they're working with other people, and they feel part of something, they have a sense of belonging, and they're building their confidence to go back into society, back to work, and help more people, and hopefully pass that message on. So if you're ever in West Sussex, come along, get involved. It's a completely free service, and we welcome all of you to come and get involved. Thank you very much.